As always, please retry this question before watching the video. If you don't know the answer to any of these questions, please add them to your cheat sheet, master them, and go back 5 before continuing in the video. What are the 3 things that can be wrong with the clause question? Punctuation in the middle of a clause, no independent clause in a sentence, and clauses separated improperly. What is the difference between a clause and a phrase? Clause has a subject-verb combo, and a phrase does not. What is the easiest way to recognize a dependent clause? That is, it starts with a dependent clause marker. What is the easiest way to recognize an independent clause? It does not start with a dependent clause marker. What are our 10 magic dependent clause markers? Because, while, when, since, whereas, who, whom, whose, which, that. Again, because, while, when, since, whereas, who, whom, whose, which, that. What are your 3 main sentence structures? Independent plus independent, independent plus dependent, dependent plus independent. How do we separate independent plus independent? The 5 ways. What are the 5 ways? Comma fanboys, period, semicolon, M dash, colon. With those in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at number 12. And eventually, you won't even need to think about all that stuff. If you get it down, then you will just be able to look at these and know which of the 3 things is going to be wrong with each of them. And so just looking at this, you can already see that this is separating 2 clauses. So we know we're dealing with a clause 3. So you really just need to consider which one has those clauses separated properly, because the other 3 are going to be separated improperly. So we need to determine the sentence structure first. If you didn't recognize that this is right between the 2 clauses, that's okay. You can still just consider the 3 things for all 3 of the answers, or all 3 of the things for each answer individually. Answer F, is there punctuation in the middle of the clause? Is there an independent? There is not punctuation in the middle of the clause. There's no punctuation anywhere. F, is there an independent clause in a sentence? There is. See if you can find it. Guitarist strum. So guitarist strum is our subject-verb combo. That means that's a clause, and it does not start with a dependent clause marker. Therefore, it is an independent clause. And so we know that it does have an independent clause. And are the clauses, plural, separated properly? So we have to see if there's a second clause. And so answer F. Then musicians seated nearby begin. All right, so begin is our verb. You might think that it's seated, but it's, actually a participle here. Either way, you would know that there is a clause here, and it does not start with a dependent clause marker. Then is not a dependent clause marker. Therefore, this is an independent clause. And so we have 2 independent clauses. And how are we supposed to separate independent clauses with one of the 5 ways? And in answer F, they didn't do anything. So it's definitely not one of the 5 ways. Answer G. All right, so we already know they didn't change enough about it. Other musicians seated nearby begin. So that is still an independent clause, and because other is not a dependent clause, it's not a dependent clause marker. And so we have 2 independent clauses, and therefore we should use one of the 5 ways. They did not use one of the 5 ways to separate answer G. Therefore, we can eliminate it because the clauses are separated improperly. Answer H. Again, we still have 2 independent clauses here as the sentence structure. Sometimes students look at how they punctuated it to determine what the sentence structure is. Do not do that. That is a trick. You look at what the clauses are, you determine the sentence structure, and then you see if they picked the right way to separate it. All right? Well, we have 2 independent clauses. How do we separate 2 independent clauses? One of the 5 ways. And in answer H, they did use one of the 5 ways. It's a comma fanboys. So that is one of 5 ways. So there's nothing we can find that's wrong to eliminate answer H. And then J, we can eliminate again, just like for F and G, because the clauses are separated improperly. We have 2 independent clauses, and they did not use one of the 5 ways. So J is wrong because the clauses are separated improperly, leaving us only with answer H, which is indeed our correct answer. If this made sense to you, please go ahead and add it to your worksheet, write what you learned along with the answer, and continue on to do the remaining Clause 3 questions that you missed on this test. If this is the final Clause 3 question you missed on this test, please go ahead and get 10 questions correct in a row on the Clause 3 Mastery before coming back and starting the worksheet again with the next category you missed the most of.